What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about another Steel Path build for Warframe's Techrot Encore. With Techrot Encore we got a bit of a buff to all exalted weapons with them having arcane adapters. So Hildryn's Balefire Charger did get access to secondary Enervate, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that build today. So we'll go with the Hildryn build first. We are starting off with the Aura slot. We've got Corrosive Projection to help pillage with a bit of armor stripping. Then we have Aviator in the Exalted slot, which reduces damage while we're in the air, which we will be in the air almost 100% of the time because we are using Aegis Gale. So, Aegis Gale is a augment for her 4 ability, and while you are in your 4, you get an alternate fire for your Balefire Charger. That does a burst of 3 shots dealing explosive, and they get bonus damage based on the amount of shields that you have. So, we're stacking a lot of shields, as much shields as we can in this build. Starting off with Prime Redirection, get us as much shield as possible. Normal Redirection will work just fine in here. Then we're using Adaptation. Adaptation's good just because while you're in the air, you are a bit of an open target, and just helps with tanking a lot of the damage, in combination with Pillage once again. Whenever you cast Pillage, once that wave comes back in, you do regain all your shields, and it removes all status effects from yourself and your allies. Then we have Boreal's Hatred, more shield capacity and more ability efficiency, both things that we want on this build, and then more damage reduction while we're airborne. So between these 3, it's a lot of damage reduction. I don't know exactly how much, just quite a bit. We're running Intensify. The more ability strength that we have, the more damage all of our abilities will do. As well, we are using Raw subsumed on here, so more strength is more damage on our Raw, which is more damage on our weapons, and the entire cascading effect. So here, you get your damage per second from the pickup that this does, and then additional damage on your weapon, and then your Balefire Charger here, which does scale with strength a little bit. Actually, I have enough room for Umbral Intensify on this build, so even more strength. Alright, then we've got Streamline, more ability efficiency, helpful with everything that we want to do. You're just spending less less shield when you roar, less shield when you're in Aegis Storm, etc., etc. Blind Rage, more ability strength and then negative on the efficiency, so it cancels out Streamline. Then I'm running Augur Message for a bit more duration. This is just quality of life for Raw, so I don't have to be casting it quite as much. Without this, we have to recast Raw every 30 seconds. It just gives us a bit more time there. And then, lastly, we have the Aegis Gale Augment. For our Arcanes, we are running Molt Augmented. More ability strength is just better in general. Every time you get kills, you get more. With this, the more kills you get, you want to leave Aegis Storm and then come back in to get the bonuses of more ability strength. And then we are also running Molt Vigor. This just helps us snapshot a much bigger Raw and gain some more damage through doing that. So you go into Operator form, cast an ability, and then jump back in and cast Raw again. Alright, next up we'll go over the Companion build a little bit. It's not the most important thing ever, but it has a few nice quality of life things in there. So, I use the same build for my pet on basically everything that I do, but this one here, the important parts are Reinforced Bond, Guardian, and then Null Audit. So, Guardian gives you 100% shields whenever you run out. Hildryn uses shields instead of energy, and if you forget to use Pillage while you're fighting things, you end up falling out of the sky and you've got no shields and it's a really bad time. So this gives you a bit of a get out of jail free card if you forget to cast Pillage or if you take a lot of damage and fall out of the sky. Then we have Reinforced Bond, so if the companion has more than 1200 shields, you get additional fire rate. The reloading restoring pet doesn't help here, but with calculated redirection, basically means that you have more fire rate, more damage. And then Synergized Prospectus just helps prime everything in the room. The rest of this build, Synth Deconstruct and Pack Leader don't really do a lot, so you could edit this build if you wanted to specifically for Hildryn. I'm just a little bit lazy. Then we have the Lacerton here, of which we are putting out Heat, Radiation, Magnetic, and Viral, Viral being the heaviest one there for priming purposes. We're not using any sort of condition overload on this build, so the rest of the priming isn't completely necessary, but it's still nice to have. And then we go back to our Balefire charger here. So the build, obviously we are running secondary Enervate. On hit, we get 10% critical chance, which resets after 6 big crits. A lot of other content creators have done videos on this, but it is not multiplicative crit chance. It is additive. So our 5% here, every time we shoot, we get an additional 10% until we start hitting big crits. So with using this, you start getting a lot of orange crits and occasionally a few red crits in there as well. Then we're running Galvanized Diffusion, so 90% multi-shot, and then on kill, more multi-shot, more damage. You love to see it. Hornet Strike and Magnum Force, just for more damage, and the negative accuracy is kind of a benefit here because it spreads out the explosives, doing more damage. This weapon doesn't do any direct damage when you're in the Aegis Gale, so more flat damage and more spread is good. Prime Target Cracker to synergize with secondary Enervate, giving us 110% critical damage, giving us 3.1 times crit multi. Then I'm running Corrosive on this. Now I don't own the electricity status mod, but even with this, it does not have particularly high status chance. So if you wanted to, you could absolutely put on pathogen rounds here if you wanted to invest another former into the build, and the damage would be better. Lethal Torrent, Fire Rate Multi-Shot, things that we'd like to see on this build, and then for the last slot here I am running Augur Pact just for a bit more flat damage. Now there are a few other things that you could put here that are better, I just don't have the former. One of them is Fulminate or Prime Fulminate, really strong for this, more area on your explosions is really nice. I just don't want to spend the platinum to get the mod, waiting for Byro to have the Prime version in stock. Another thing would either be Merciless Gunfight, although that's probably another former to put into the build, which the punch through doesn't matter, it's just more critical damage, or Magnetic Might, more crit damage, and a bit of magnetic on this for more base damage. Any of those would do you quite well. If I former this again, I'll probably go with Magnetic Might until I get Fulminate and see which one I like a little bit better. But so far, that is the build for Hildryn. We'll run in and do a little bit of Conjuncture Survival, cracking a relic, just to see the kind of damage this thing can do. Alright, so we've gotten a bit more into our survival here, to the point where we're all stacked up. So you go into Operator. Now, you'd snapshot your raw, but I'd already just done that. And you float up in the sky and start shooting everything. So, middle mouse button, you can change the binding for doing all of your shooting. And then you just send out pillage every couple of seconds. If your shields start getting low, you can press it again to bring your shields back. Then you can swap to operator mode, cast an ability, recast raw. You can stay low and just start blasting things. And you can see, we're hitting some red crits in here. Ooh. And I forgot to cast Pillage. And once again, you can see Guardian bringing us back up to scratch there. Very handy. Alright, we will deal with this Acolyte. Oh, I did it again. So I've got a snapshot raw. Get away. Do a snapshot raw. Get away from violence, because he's a scary dude. And he's dead. A bit more stressful than usual because I let myself fall out of the sky. Yeah, and you can see what this starts doing. So we're critting for a couple of million as we're going around, hundreds of thousands, big explosions, and yeah, the build is pretty damn strong. Thank you very much for watching. If you feel like it, do the YouTube things. I want to keep making some more videos, and feel free to give me some feedback or let me know any builds that you want to see. Until then, have a good one, guys.